Welcome to Creative Pages with Catherine. I'm Catherine, and it's time for the sketch with me for my Christmas charm collection. We're going to be using our 101 Scrapbooking Ideas and Sketches book, and we'll be working from page 94. So if you have the book, pull it out and follow along. This video is also part of the Christmas Town playlist, and I really want to thank our host, Monica, at Up All Night DIY, and Dawn at Shabby Meets Bling. Two wonderful hosts. Please check out the link to the playlist in the description box below this video, where you'll also find links to my website and other fun things. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get rolling on this project. It's going to be a fun one, all Christmassy. Well, for this one, I picked this sketch, and yes, I know you do see a tent there, but it's not going to be a tent when I get done with it. We are going to be using a Christmas tree, and we're going to create curtains for our Christmas tree. I have pulled out a series of mats. We have four 4x6 mats, two 4.5x6.5 mats, and we also have a few strips from our designer paper that we'll be using along the way. Some of what I'm using today are scraps from our Thrift Flip Road Trip project, where I cut the jumbo circle. So remember, when I say cut with purpose, I was able to get 2 3/4 inches from two sides of my circle, and that's what we're going to be using to accent our page. I also did cut a third strip from our other sheet that we have in our paper pack, and we will be cutting an additional segment off of this one. It is the sheet that kind of has the different colored ribbons on the back of it. And we're going to go ahead and cut this first because we need to make our curtains. But also, I wanted to tell you, this is not white cardstock. This is actually the filler sheets that they use for in our pocket pages. So you usually do get a white sheet. It's not like officially labeled cardstock, but you can use it as cardstock, because everything Creative Memories does is acid-free, lignin-free, and photo-safe. So that's what we're going to use for the base of our 2 pages, because we're going to turn that single page layout into a double. And we're going to go ahead and cut this paper at 4 inches. So I pulled out my 12-inch trimmer. We're going to line it up at the 4, and then we're going to go ahead and turn it and cut it at 5.5 inches, which is the very end of our point here, if you will. The part that rolls out to become our arm. There's a little spot in here where it says 5.5, but a lot of times it's easier just to put your hand at the end and get to 5.5. So that's what I'm doing here. We're going to cut that off, and we have a little bit for a card, and we will go ahead and let's see here. We're going to use the back side of the paper first. So this one is a little bit tricky. This is why I am explaining it. One of the things that makes our Creative Memories trimmer unique is that we do have this 45-degree line that runs along our measurements here. And we're going to take the sheet of paper that we just cut, we're going to flip it over, and we're going to place at the bottom right-hand corner at our 2-inch mark, lining up the rest of the paper along our 45-degree line. So here we go, 45-degree line, 2-inch mark with the point here. And then we are going to cut 1 inch from the edge of the paper using our side ruler. So it's about 5.5 to 6.5 inches is where our cut box is going to wind up. Yep. So you start with the end of your cutting part, which means that your actual blade, because this is a 2-inch box, your blade is going to be at the 5.5, even though the end of your box is at 6.5. And we're just going to go ahead and actually we need to go to 7.5, don't we? Let's go to 7.5 and cut. Yep. So actually the top of your box needs to be at 5.5. Your blade's going to be at 6.5, and the bottom of your box is going to be at 7.5. I hope that makes sense. Press down and cut to the edge of your paper here. We're going to flip the paper over and do the same thing. So flip the paper over because we're essentially working at the bottom end of our paper here, 45-degree line, 2 inches here, and put this back on, go to that 7.5. Basically, it's between, so you're 8 and up is a 1/2 inch, and you're essentially cutting down, essentially give you 1 inch out of each edge of the paper here. Do you see what I just did? All right, so now we're going to stay on the front side of the paper. We need our top right corner at 1.5 and the bottom right at 3/4. So top right at 1.5 and the bottom right at 3/4. Yep. That's 1.25. This is 1.5. This is 3/4 here. And what we want to do is essentially we want to cut down from the point where we did our other slit. I don't think I made my slit long enough, but we're going to see if I actually can get this to work out for me. Nope, I went too far. But that's okay. You know what? This is the best thing about paper crafting is we have scissors that can help with that and just finish out that angle there. So you can see we have this different kind of cut coming out from our paper. All right, let's hope we went far enough on this side, but that's okay. We're going to go ahead and flip our paper over and do the same thing again. So the top right corner is at 1.5. There's 1.5. The bottom right corner is at 3/4. There's 3/4. I can see where I have my slit coming in from here. So I need to, oops, my paper slipped. I need to line up my blade. Let me make sure I'm still at 3/4 and 1.5 real quick. So line up your blade. And you kind of just have to have a little bit of a leap of faith. I'm right just above that 7 there. So I just need to be right above the 8 a little bit because we know our blade is 1 inch. The blade box is 2 inches. Our blade starts at 1 inch where this white line is on the side. And let's see how we did this time. We just need a tiny little bit. I got much closer this time. We're just going to go ahead and cut this the rest of the way there. Done, done, and done. So those, we have just a couple of interesting pieces that might show up on a card. We'll see about that. Next thing, what we need to do is put this on our 2-inch line, because remember we had a 4-inch piece of paper, and we're going to cut this in half. Here we go. And I'm not even going to worry about these little slits because we have a little decorative piece that's going to come in and help us cover some of that up a bit. But you can see we're actually going to flip it and go this way. And maybe now you can see where that tent inspired me a little bit and why I picked the sketch I picked with our Christmas papers. So let's go ahead and start on our left side of our page. Let me grab my sheet of paper here that we're working on. And we are going to grab our 0 centering rulers because we want our 2 3/4 inch strip. We're going to take one of these 2 3/4 inch by 12 inch strips on this left side of the paper that's going to run across our page. Let me get some tape runner going first. And it's going to be 3.5 inches from the top of the page, from essentially this top edge here. So let's line this up against our ruler. 1, 2, 3.5 is right here. And then that's where I need to line up my piece of paper. So am I lined up against the edge here? Yep. 1, 2, 3.5. And there you go. Okay, and that's okay. It looks like we have a little bit of white showing. That's fine. Sometimes there's a little bit of an allowance in the sizing of the pages, and that's okay. Let's set aside our zero centering ruler for now. We will need it on the opposite side of our page as well. We are going to get out some of our mats for this left side of the page and also our tree. So the tree I picked is this one that has there are little red dots on this tree. I don't know if you can see them. They're kind of running through the center a little bit here where my thumb is, right there. They're just kind of scattered about. We also need both of the candy mats here with the candy pieces running along it. One has presents on the back and the other has the bell on the back. These are going to be across the top of our page. I'm going to go ahead and flip them so I can put tape. We also are going to need one of our candy border stickers and the piece we just cut, as well as our stocking mat. You're going to need both of them. This one has candy canes on the back of it. And the rest of the mats for this layout, we have this other candy cane or stockings one with the present on the back, and then both of the ones with the red polka dots on it. They have plaid and green on the back. These are the 4.5 by 6.5 mats. All the other mats are our 4 by 6 mats. So let me flip this one as well. We're going to go ahead and start getting some tape runner onto things and get this layout put together. Okay, let's go ahead and these two are going to run just across the top, but you want it about 1/4 of an inch down from the top of the page. And you can pull out your zero centering ruler again if you wish, but I'm just going ahead and eyeballing it. I'm going to line these up so they look nice next to each other, and there you go. It's as simple as that, really. That one's done. And then our stockings are going to go into this right corner about 1/2 inch from the right edge of the page and about 3/4 of an inch up from the bottom. And again, like I said, if you want to measure it, you can. I am doing my usual winging it a little bit. Let's get some tape on our tree here. I am going to use my repositionable tape and bringing in my border mat so that way I don't have to worry about where I'm running the tape. The tape will stick to the paper and not to the silicone, and it just makes life easy. If you don't have a silicone mat, you can make a parchment board with parchment paper, but use electrical tape because it's one of the few things that can stick to parchment. Okay, so I'm going to lightly put that there. I want to get tape also on our curtains that we cut. I'm calling them curtains because that's essentially the function that they're going to have on our page. I kind of thought this would be a little bit fun because, of course, we have the mantle with the stockings right here. And then wouldn't it be kind of fun to just feel like we're looking through a window at our tree, and we want it kind of centered, and it's okay if our tree is going to be underneath part of our curtain here. In fact, I think I am going to move my tree over just a hair. Let me get my multi-purpose tool. Move this up just a little bit because I didn't press down on it either all the way yet. And we're just going to, hopefully lift this up a little bit. Yep, okay, come on. I tried not to press on it because I figured it would stick, and of course it did. So now I need to lift my tool again. There you go. I should just spatula it up the whole way. All right, so the edge of our tree is just going to be peeking out from behind here just a little bit, and we kind of want it centered as well, kind of running this central line here coming down is going to come just about 1/8 of an inch over from our bottom of our tree. And we're going to do the same thing essentially on this side. So going up just visually, use your eye to kind of help you line it up. There we go. Okay, and now get that all stuck down, and we are going to add a little something to kind of help finish off the curtain effect here. And that is going to be these little, I don't know exactly what these are. They're just little accent stickers that were in our sticker set, and we're going to use them as if they're curtain pulls. So I wanted to take a look real quick and see if I wanted my pulls going towards it or away from it. And I think I do want them going out into the page here a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and pull the back off and having it come from here so that way it looks like it's holding that little part of the paper open and coming, motioning up as if it's a curtain being held back. And that's all there is to it. Let's get our border sticker down as well. We are going to have one more sticker that's going to come through. So this is running roughly through the center of our 2 3/4 inch piece here. And I think I am going to grab out my 0 centering ruler. So 2 3/4 would be 1 3/8 here. Okay. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer than other times. Okay. So there we go. Just to give it that extra going through the center of our page here. So there we go. What do y'all think? Do you like that? Does that look like a little curtain to you? I just loved the accent with the reds and the whites. And I will bring this back in also at the end, but it just kind of spoke homage to our little tent as well. Let's get the right side page done also. And we'll keep on moving along here. This page will come together a little bit quicker because we don't have to do the fancy cutting for it. Starting out with my pieces, I have the 2 3/4 by 12 inch, and this is going to run along the right side of the page, accenting this end over here. It just brings back that red accent from the other side of the page, and it's going to help our pages be cohesive together. Let's see. What did I say? 3.5? Yep, 3.5 down. So we need 1, 2, 3.5 is right here. And this one might have just a little bit of white showing in between these two, and I think that's okay too because we do have those other white elements on the page. Again, that's sometimes there's just that little bit of variation in the pages. And now we'll go ahead and start putting tape runner on our mats as well, our 2 larger mats and our smaller mat. All right, we're going to go ahead and add our, you know what, that's too high up. Hang on, I think I just did 2.5 instead of 3.5. Give me just a moment to double check here. I didn't even know if I made it to, what did I do? Okay, that's not 3.5, hang on. Put my ruler over also might help me. There we go. Okay, sorry about that, folks. Just goes to show you can tell just by looking at 1, 2, 3.5. Maybe I went 3.5 from the bottom instead of from the top that time. I don't know what I was doing. thought I was counting. 2.5, yep. Okay, well, it's a good thing I knew what it needed to look like. So, yep, that's okay. And this one is going to come down just a hair as well, because you remember we placed our other mats just a little bit down from our left side of our page as well. This was our solid dots page. We are going to have our, let me get my stockings in first, because this one goes over both of these about an inch from the edge of our page and a half inch up. And then our other dots is kind of running a little bit closer to the edge. We're going to have about 1/4 of an inch around on two sides. And then this is about 3/4 from the bottom of the page. Okay, let's get our other accent pieces on here. I have pulled out our presents that were in our embellishment kit. We had 3 presents there, and I'll show you as I put them on. We also have our holly jolly, and then now we have our bells that's going to run through the center of our page. I'm going to grab my repositionable tape for the presents because they have a lot of little cutouts in them, it looks like. I'm going to add just a touch of foam tape to my holly jolly here. Looks like my foam tape is definitely at its end. It's a good thing I have another roll ready to go. All right, let's go ahead and cut a small piece here from this roll. There we go. And that, as we say, is that. Okay, so I have the more rectangly, wider present is going here through this point, kind of lining up with the, I'll show you so the paper's going right below this red line that's running along the present. There's like a little, like it's supposed to be like a bow or that ribbon effect that's on the back side of this paper is what I'm following there. And then we have the taller present that's going to just go up here in this white space. There we go. And we're going to go ahead and add our holly jolly up here in the corner. All festive and nice, coming over just a little bit into our white space. And finally, our squared present is going here. Okay, here we have our other border sticker that we'll bring in and run through the same eye length as we did on the other. And here right through the center of that 2 3/4 inch strip. Let's line up our pages here. You can see I did it, yep, by repositioning that one, I got it just right. And then we do have these bells we're going to add as well. I'll show you in just a moment. Go running across our page here. And then the bells, what I was going to do was cut it through the middle, but I actually don't think I want to do that now that I see the page together. I kind of want these hanging out below this point of the mat here. I don't know if I want it under the mat or over the mat. Well, you know what? We're going to put it in between these 2 candies here, kind of at an angle. And it's going to go over just the little edges of this mat. But remember, this one is a 4.5 by 6.5 mat, so it's not going to interfere with our photo at all. Let me show you the close-up of the right side of our page. Here we go. And then the 2 pages together again. And you can see those white spaces kind of do showcase and pop a bit. Let me get a couple of our photo cards. So here's what some 6x4 photos would look like on here. And you almost, with that bottom one, might want to trim it down just a little bit so that way these detailed corners will show up a little bit nicer. So maybe let's try a 5.5 by 3.5 here. And that might show just a little bit better because then you get those accent corners and you also get the detailing of the edging as well. But I definitely would do a full 6x4 up here in the top. Here's another 5.5 by 3.5, which will probably go into your 4x6. I'm sorry, into your 6x4 mats up here. You can go a little bit smaller as well. Sometimes you can trim off just a little bit extra from your, if you have sky or grass or something along those lines. So here's a 4x3, but I think that might work. Maybe you might be able to get away with a 4x3 there, or possibly a 4x4. Let me grab that card as well. If I can get it off my stack here. So if you haven't seen these cards yet, they're really handy. If you are figuring out which photos to put on a page, you can look and see exactly what size will fit on a mat. And then you can look at doing your journaling here. Or if you do want to fit in another photo, you could easily, maybe trim this out. This is a 4x3 as well. And come and bring it down a little bit further, and you can journal around because you do have some journal lines on this mat. You can journal here. You can add some write-on stickers to journal here. But you can definitely get quite a few photos on these pages. You can also consider maybe a 4x4 if you bring it over a little bit, or take that, where's that 3x4? Hang on. I was about a 3x4. That was a 4x4. So here's a 3x4. So just take over half the mat, and then you can journal next to it as well. So there you go. Lots of options as usual with what size photos to place on these pages. And I've never been one to shy away from even going with, like, you could easily fit your 4x6 vertical versus the horizontal on the page as well. So, here's look what the 4x6 would look like going this way. You could even center that a little bit as well. Lots of options. Okay, let's get into our card next. All right, card time. I don't know if any of y'all remember my bifold door card I did. There's a video on my channel with it, but this one kind of inspired me. I was just that Christmas tree that we did on our page layout just got me thinking about this card. So I dug it out just so I could take another look at it and see. And it has inspired me to put together a little bit of a different card, because of course we're using the Christmas Charm collection, and that was seasonal sightings. I also did pull out several of my shimmer brush pens. I have red, white, green, and clear. And if y'all were lucky enough to get them, you can pull yours out as well. And they've all sold out now. And I usually don't like to show product that's sold out, but such is what it is. So for my cardstock, I cut it at 4 1/4 by 10 3/4, and then I scored it at 5 1/2 so that way it would fit into one of our standard A2 envelopes. You can see we do have about 1/4 inch at the bottom. That's going to have a little bit of that little overlay just to give us a different look to the card again, loosely influenced, I guess, by the bifold door. I also pulled out one of my scraps of the Argyle looking paper that has the fleur de lis, I guess, on the back of it. We are going to go ahead and layer this in for the front of our card. This piece is 4 inches by 5 inches. And then we also have a piece of white cardstock that's going to go inside just to make writing easy. You could use your white chalking pen on something this dark, but honestly, this time I just thought it made sense to put in the white cardstock layer because we are doing kind of this look where it almost looks like it's outlined by the other cardstock. We're going about 1/8 of an inch from the top of our card because we don't want the white cardstock to show through on the front when we shut our card. And then I also pulled out this Merry Christmas mat. I have cut off the plaid that was above and below it. It was the one that said, "May your days be merry and bright." And we'll use that plaid somewhere else, but I thought the inside of our card should say Merry Christmas. So that is what I'm going to put inside my card. And of course, you can always write it in as well, but hey, when you have a mat that can help you out, why not? And again, like I said, inspired by our other card that where I did use one of our mats inside and kind of had it, it almost looks like it's framed out around it as well. So there you go. Merry Christmas inside. And for the front of our card, and I am going to use a little shimmer inside, but first I want to get this front done. I pulled out one of our tree embellishments from our embellishment pack. I'm going to go ahead and get some repositionable tape going onto it. This is the largest of the, I guess, more plain Christmas trees, I guess, if you will. It doesn't really have, it's not the super elaborate one like what we used on our page. And then I'm also pulling out this Merry and Bright from our sticker set with a couple of these pieces of greenery to add behind it. We're going to go ahead and put the Merry and Bright onto foam squares, and then we'll add our greenery behind. So bear with me a moment here while I get a few foam squares. And let's put one more small one in the middle just so that it doesn't sag at all. Pull off the backs. Again here. There we go. And then this is going to go up into the left side of our card front. And now we'll add our greenery coming from behind it. And then we're going to decorate our tree just a bit as well. Because in our sticker pack for this collection, we have actually quite a lot of little stars and snowflakes. Oh, if you don't want to say Merry Christmas inside your card, in our embellishment pack, there is a Season's Greetings. You can easily put that in instead of the Merry Christmas that I chose for my card. Up to you what you would like to choose for your card. Okay, so now we have some little snowflakes. We have some little peppermint candies as well. And then we have a few other odds and then some stars and things on our sticker sheet. I thought I'm going to wing it here just a little bit. We're just going to add a few of these to our tree to give it a little more extra definition, kind of like how I added the stars on our inspiration card as well. Okay, let's get one more of the peppermint candies down over here. We only need at least one more snowflake. Oh wait, they've got a green peppermint candy too, which is kind of nice. Let's put that here. Got a green and a red snowflake. We'll put another maybe red one in here. Oops, I've got a extra peppermint that got stuck to my reindeer there. Oh, that's okay. We need one more up in here anyway, so let's do this. No, we need a red or maybe let's do this red. Okay. There we go. And then a little, let's put the star at the top of our tree. We have either a green star or a gold lined star, but I kind of like the green because it does go with all the greens on our card here already. So there's a close-up of that tree that we just put a whole lot of stickers on to decorate it to make them look like Christmas balls. I am going to take my white shimmer brush pen and we are going to highlight around it. It's kind of going to be, I think, a reverse effect of what a lot of people do with darkening the edges of their pieces. I'm just taking and doing a little bit of a lighter effect here with this white shimmer brush pen. And it's going to add just an extra highlight to our tree. Okay, we're going to add a couple of extra highlights with our red shimmer brush pen as well. Just kind of running through our tree a little bit here. It's a little darker than what I thought it was going to be. So we're just going to add a few other lines through here just to give it a little highlight with some red going through. Sometimes I see these things in my mind, and until I start working with it, it's kind of like, oh, okay, that's what it's actually going to look like. I'm going to do maybe just a little bit more around the edges at the bottom here to define this little stump a bit more. Okay, and now let's add a little bit of green as well. Since we put in our red, our green lines are kind of going to go interspersed around the red a bit. We'll just go through the center a little bit with that green as well. And let me hold this up for you all so you can see it on the camera a little bit better of where I highlighted. You can see the little white shimmer around the outside, and you can kind of see those little lines going through the tree itself, the red and green shimmers. There you go. Definitely shimmers a bit more when you move it. Okay. Let's add a little bit of clear shimmer to the inside as well, because we can't just have a shimmer on the top. We have to have a little bit inside as well. And since we have this gold here, I thought maybe that would be a little bit nicer with the clear. Just putting an extra little line of shimmer inside of where the gold is. And then I think I'm going to just highlight each one of these stars in the center a bit. Just a touch of shimmer for each one of them. As well as maybe highlighting our swirls on our mat here where we have it on the S and the M there. Okay, that's it. Just a few little highlights on the inside. I'll try to see if I can get the camera to pick those up for you all. All right. You know, when it's the white, I always have to block the extra shine. Hopefully you can see that little bit of shimmer coming in. And let's see if we can see it differently. No, that just darkens it a little bit too much, but maybe, that's okay. Alrighty. Well, I hope you all enjoyed seeing my bifold card come back, as well as our Merry and Bright card come to life this year for Christmas. Thank you again to Monica and Dawn for hosting the playlist. Until next time.